Easy Delivery Company might be the most immersive game I've ever played. What started as an innocuous look into a small indie game on a whim turned into so much more than I ever could have imagined. I went in with no expectations, no ideas, no theories, and because of that, I want you to as well. If you, under any circumstance, have any lingering interest to play Easy Delivery Co., I beg of you not to watch any further than this. To do so would be to rob you of forming your own thoughts, criticism, and joy that this game will give you. For those that have played it themselves, or perhaps just want to see an outsider talk about their own experiences, then I really hope you enjoy the following video. Easy Delivery Co. right out of the gate leaves an impression. A main menu screen in the style of an old computer, setting the vibe for something rural, but something relaxing and familiar. Starting the game meets you in a message, have an easy day, adding a slight unsettling twinge to the atmosphere that is undercut by the soft musical sting that plays as you read it. Immediately after, you are thrown right into the car cabin, met only with the message to take a job. From here, Easy Delivery Company slowly introduces you to the world it's set in. The mountain village you start at is a snow-covered series of roads loosely connected by sparse buildings forming various sub-towns among the mountains. It creates a sense of isolation despite being amongst a seemingly populated area, because despite just driving around the town and speaking with the locals for your jobs, so much of your time is spent on the open snowy road, with only the sounds being those of your own truck and whatever you can pick up on the radio. After your first job, you'll encounter a dog resting by a fire on the side of the road. This is MK. MK at this point is used to tutorialize the player, give them a little more grounding in the world by fixing their map. The song Guillaume's is pretty cute too. Throughout the game, you'll be interacting with the denizens of this village a lot, usually as you pick up jobs. Every time you go to pick up a package, you'll find them standing alone in their store, sometimes with the radio being the only break in the silence. It's a little unnerving to walk in and just see someone standing there, blankly staring back at you. Each time you get a job, you'll have to talk to the relevant shopkeeper to get their package. A lot of the time when you first speak to an NPC, they'll confuse you for a previous delivery driver named Seb. Seb is a very important figure to keep in mind, but for now, just put him to the back of your mind. As you continue along through the game, delivering more packages from one store to another, the shopkeepers will slowly open up to you. For example, Fortino, the shopkeeper in charge of the depot, starts off a little standoffish, but over the course of a couple of deliveries will open up to you about his crush on another shopkeeper named Ellie. Continuing to talk to him while picking up deliveries or just stopping by when you have some free time will see him eventually work up the nerve to confess to Ellie, and eventually the two will begin dating. It's a heartwarming story to see unfold despite only hearing about it in past tense. It makes you feel like Fortino is actually opening up to you and getting closer, becoming more of a friend. It makes you excited to take jobs and even just pass by his store because you want to see how well your friend is doing. You want an update on their life and for them to be excited to tell you. Every single shopkeeper is like this. You enter the village a nobody, a delivery driver sent out to replace the previous one. Most of them can't even tell the difference between you and Seb at first until it's pointed out to them. You feel alone. You feel like something that just sticks out because you're different, and the isolation of the open roads just reinforce that. It's not just the shopkeepers in the environment that help give that feeling. The game makes a very conscious choice with its soundtrack, playing almost exclusively via in-game radios either in your truck or inside the stores. It adds a sense of comfort while you drive around or get out of the harsh weather into a store, almost like you're seeking shelter. To elaborate more, the radio stations you pick up in your truck can only be heard at first when you drive near one of their corresponding radio towers. Once you move out of range, you lose the signal and can't listen to it anymore. If you decide to brave the cold and venture towards one of the towers, inside you'll just find an empty station with a switch. Clicking it powers the station fully and allows you to listen to it anywhere in the game. Braving the cold isn't without its risks though. Stay out too long and without a source of heat and you'll succumb to the cold and pass out. When you awake, you'll find yourself in a strange liminal hallway space. Personally, it reminds me a lot of SCP-106's Pocket Dimension. Exploring through it, you hear strange sounds and what sounds like somebody trying to talk to you. It's all very unnerving and honestly put me on edge for a while after it happened to me the first time. Eventually, while wandering around, you'll black out again and wake up back at your truck. Keep this all in mind for later, as this whole limbo state will be important. Allow me to get back to the radio stations now. The radio stations are a genius way of making the player feel involved in the world, like they have some tangible effect on it. The fact that all the shopkeepers actively listen to the radio, and you yourself use it as a sort of grounding measure against the mental and physical strain of being here, means you feel so much more rewarded by your decision to go out and turn them on. I can't overstate how much legwork the core systems of Easy Delivery Co. work to immerse you in itself. How even the simple act of moving a box from one store to another pulls the player in with the promise of learning more about and growing closer to the shopkeepers. Not only executing the core gameplay loop, but also making you want to continue to play. Easy Delivery Co. is not a long game. It took me about 5 or so hours to finish it. But in those 5 hours, the feeling of yearning to continue never wavered. I always wanted to see what the shopkeepers were up to. I wanted to continue talking to MK and learn more about him and his relationship with Seb. I wanted to scratch that itch that something was wrong. Something was contributing to that isolating feeling that remained. And then, the first sign was shown. Maybe it'll happen while you're passing by, while you're picking up delivery, but cracks will start to form in this facade of this cozy mountain town presents. For me, it was Reed, the auto mechanic. Over the course of his dialogue, Reed says that Seb told him something he had to remember, something that he continuously tries to tell you, but he just can't remember. After several interactions, Reed finally recalls what Seb told him. He tells you that Seb was worried about something about the SD unit and the clusters, something to do with EasyCo's programming. At first, it's not exactly clear what Reed is talking about. The initial assumption that the player will form is that this is what caused Seb to seemingly vanish, leading you to wonder what exactly was he worried about. Continuing to talk to Reed, or talking to any other shopkeeper long enough, eventually you'll be smashed with the reality of what's going on. The SD units, these clusters, they're the shopkeepers. They'll start shouting errors at you before almost resetting to a neutral, pre-programmed state. The shopkeepers aren't alive. They're just machines. It raises your anxiety and panic. It breaks the glass of reality this game has built up for you your entire playtime. Everything you thought you knew was wrong, but it puts everything else into perspective. Throughout the entire time of playing the game, you'll interact with exactly 2 types of people: the shopkeepers and MK. As you drive and deliver packages, you'll never come across somebody who just lives here. You'll notice that there's no other cars on the road. You'll realize why the radio stations are all empty. You are alone. The crushing feeling of isolation sets in once more, and the worst part is the game didn't even try to hide it. Every time you pick up a job, you're only ever interacting with the sender, never the receiver. Even when you deliver out to one of the remote cabins, all you'll find is a darkened box with no one to even walk inside to speak to. You realize that MK is the only other person outside of these AI-driven shopkeepers you've actually talked to, and he himself even tells you he's just a technician. Another system for the town to keep running without outside interference. You don't even realize at the time that he's maintaining the shopkeepers because he fixes your map right after telling you that. It plants this idea in your head that there are people out there, that you're just a regular delivery driver working a job. The money you're gaining isn't just a gameplay mechanic, but you could imagine once your shift is over, spending it on living. But you never will. The Ludo narrative of the gameplay all coils together in this single reveal. You never stop to rest, only ever regaining energy while working, either by drinking cheap company-sponsored energy drinks or by brewing some coffee that MK gives you. When you pick up a job, you know which storefront has it because the light is on outside. It seems like just a simple gameplay indicator now is put into a whole new perspective. It's not just to show the player where they need to go, it's to show you, the delivery driver for this town, where to go. It's a marker, it's a visual indicator of what your next assignment from the company is. I understand that may be a little bit of a repetitive statement, but let me try and put it into another perspective. Why are none of the other lights in any other building on? Because they don't need to. There is no in-world reason for them to be on. There's no people walking the streets at night. There's no reason for the shopkeepers to keep them on other than because you need to see which store has your delivery. Not even the stores you deliver to have their lights on because you already know where you're going. There's no one else out there. You're delivering packages to what is effectively a dead town. By this point, you'll probably have progressed to the fishing village and started MK's little mission. He wants you to go to the dam and get something for him. When you manage to break through the gate and get in, it's silent. Nothing. No movement, no sounds, just you. The air feels stagnant. It feels like something left to rot, like someone just abandoned this place. At the far end of the building, you'll find what MK is looking for. It's a set of walkie-talkies. Bringing them back to you, he starts to open up to you about the shopkeepers. He says something is wrong with them. They're ill. They're not acting right, and they've only gotten worse since you started making deliveries. He doesn't blame you, and seems glad you've been talking with them. He says you've given them hope. Once again, the Ludo narrative just comes crashing down on you. By talking with the shopkeepers, by continuing to make deliveries, by just engaging with them as an outside force, you've helped them grow. Their dialogue and stories only progress because you progress them, because there's no one else out there to do it. The last time they had a chance to interact with somebody is right before Seb went missing, reminding you that all the shopkeepers mistake you for him when you first encounter them. It brings to thought, just how long have they been like this? Seb clearly could see that by engaging with them, they would corrupt them in the long term, that continuing to be their friend, that helping them grow would ultimately make them lose themselves. It makes you question just what happened to Seb. Did he leave? Flee the village to stop himself from hurting those close to him? Or maybe he was even a victim of it himself. Throughout the entire game, even as soon as you start it, you're met with that old-style computer UI. Charming from an artistic point of view, sure, but one with recent thoughts maybe goes a little deeper. If Seb potentially did get corrupted by the same illness, that same fault in the code as the shopkeepers, who's to say you couldn't? It's at this moment you realize there's no outside force here. This town and everything is just automated. You're just another AI carrying out your purpose for existing, just like the shopkeepers and just like MK. There isn't any varying gameplay elements because in-universe the delivery driver doesn't need to do anything else. They just need to get in their truck and deliver the packages. MK at the very start of the game fixes your map. He spends his time giving you advice, letting you know what upgrades your truck might need to brave new areas. He's just carrying out his own programming. He's doing his job and maintaining not only the shopkeepers, but also you. He may express some level of free will, but at the core of everything, every single person on the mountain is just doing what they were designed to do, providing infrastructure to a town that no longer exists. Meeting up with MK for the last time outside the factory, he tells you that he can't go in himself, that his programming won't allow it, that only you can get in. Once inside, he starts to speak to you from the walkie-talkie. Continuing through the facility, you reach this long walkway. Towers upon towers of servers lay below it, blinking. These are the shopkeepers. These are your friends. A detail I really like is that all the blinking lights on the server towers translate to messages in Morse code. Translating any of them will reveal a shopkeeper's dialogue. It helps remind you that they are just AI being run out of these easy code servers that regardless of how much you've grown attached to them, they and yourself are just machines. Another thing to note about the server towers is looking down between them looks very similar to that limbo state you get sent to when you pass out in the snow. It's a subtle detail that the game once again doesn't have to try to hide from you. When you pass out in the snow, you don't just hallucinate and get teleported back to your truck. The likely scenario is that your AI is just being moved from one body to another, and walking down in between the servers is just you moving back towards your truck. Once you reach the computer terminal at the far end of the platform, you're given two options. We can either reboot the AIs of the shopkeepers, wiping their memories but giving them more time until they inevitably corrupt again, or shut them down, letting them effectively die as they are. It's asking you an impossible question. Do you reboot the shopkeepers, erasing any memory of you or their lives they created after you start delivering? Do you erase your friendship? And even to what end? If you reset them and continue to make deliveries, you'll just watch as they slowly corrupt again. Or do you let them join the rest of the world and die, letting the last light of this village go out knowing that the bond you created with them was real? There's no right answer to this question. You're given the choice of either killing the shopkeepers as you know them, or killing them outright. That is their life they've created after knowing you more than what it was before. MK even acknowledges this if you reset them, stating that at best, you've just bought them more time until they corrupt once more. There's no right choice, there's no wrong choice. You just have to make one. Easy Delivery Co. is the most immersive game I've ever played. What seems like a cozy little driving and delivery simulator is a masterclass in ludonarrative harmony. Every action you as the player take is done not only to fulfill your own personal satisfaction from playing the game, but it progresses and is reflected back at you by the game itself. It's all a sense of self-fulfilling narratives. You want to play the game because you're enjoying it while simultaneously fulfilling the role the delivery driver was made to do. If you stop playing the game, the deliveries stop. The shopkeepers won't corrupt because you're not there to talk to them. While if you continue to play, you yourself will fall under the same fate as them. By engaging with the world and the shopkeepers and making more deliveries, you yourself will grow alongside them, becoming more invested in the bond you create with them and the cozy familiarity of the world as navigating it becomes natural. I cannot praise this game enough. No other game has ever put me in the world that deep. No other game has ever made me feel that physically and emotionally invested in it. That's not to say that other games haven't moved me, it's just there's something so engaging about the simplicity and execution of what Easy Delivery Co. sets out to do. It never lies to you, it's always upfront about what it is and what is happening. It's just up to you to take it all in and process it. Please go play Easy Delivery Co. Please support the wonderful solo developer Sam C. and his co-writer Josh C. for creating this wonderful game. And please support the fantastic composers So Hao Ying and Prote for crafting the music that tied it all together. I hope you'll all come to love this game as much as I have, and I hope that Sam and Josh C. continue to execute their talent and create more wonderful games. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some deliveries to make. Every time you pick up a job. Put on the book. Every time you pick up a job. The radio stations are a genius way of making the player feel involved in the world, like they have some tangible effect on it. Okay, we're gonna have to run that one again. Oh, threw up in my mouth a little bit. Oh, shouldn't have done this just after eating. Oh, my ass. Sorry, I'm physically disabled. So when I bend, I don't bend.